I hereby call the January 13th, 2026 meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Beck,
Here?
Vice Mayor Crawford,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Finn,
Here.
Councilmember Edwards.
Here.
Councilmember Stokes. He's here.
He's here.
Here. You say here.
Councilmember.
Visually, I see him.
Councilmember Dunn.
Here.
Councilmember Bula.
Here.
Mayor Beck, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Our only item on the agenda today is to call for executive session. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session?
Mayor, so move, we move into executive session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please vote.
Just once, I want to press the.
Councilmember Crawford?
I vote yes.
And it is 7-0. Thank you. Council will now recess into executive session.
All right.
Seems to get everybody's attention. I hereby call the January 13th, 2026 study session to order. Will the clerk please note the roll, please? The only item on the study session or on the agenda today is the 2026 legislative update. I now recognize City Manager Mr. Henry Darwin to introduce the presentation.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. All three. Mayor, did you want to do the invocation first?
Actually, we do. So we'll go ahead and move forward on that. So then those are able, please stand for the invocation by Reverend Dr. Staccato K. Powell of Peoria's First Presbyterian Church, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. I greet you all in the matchless, marvelous, and miraculous name of Jesus the Christ. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, source of wisdom, justice, and peace, we pause in gratitude for the gift of this day and for the opportunity to serve the people of Peoria. We give thanks for this community, for its diversity, its resilience, and its shared hope for a future marked by safety, opportunity, and dignity for all. Grant wisdom to the mayor and council, to city staff, and to all who labor on behalf of the public good. May decisions made in this chamber be guided by integrity, compassion, and a deep concern for the common good. Give patience where there is disagreement, courage where difficult choices must be made, and humility to lead and listen well to one another and to the voices of those we serve. We ask your blessings upon our first responders, educators, caregivers, and all who work quietly and faithfully for the well-being of this city, especially those of Olive Ridge Senior Living Apartment Community for the lives that were lost by fire. We pray for them and remind us that oil from the omnipotent olive can be utilized for anointing us for the adversity that comes from being through trials and going through trials of fire. May Peoria be a place where justice is pursued, peace is protected, and every neighbor is treated with respect and care. Let us be about our Father's business in gratitude and hope. We offer this prayer. Let every heart say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for that. We have, as a study session today, I know we're starting a little bit late, but we have Austin Rowe, the Mayor's Chief of Staff. He's going to make a presentation regarding our legislative agenda overview. And one of the reasons that we're doing this is that as Peoria's reputation grows and our needs from our state legislature follow, we felt it was appropriate and maybe even necessary for staff to present to council a form of an agenda to make sure that we are aligned with your policy perspective when we are down at the Capitol, and as Austin is down at the Capitol, interacting with our state elected officials. So that's the purpose of today's overview, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Austin.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Wonderful to be with you all here this evening. Tonight, we're going to run through a presentation on Peoria's 2026 legislative agenda, and with that, I'll jump right in. Perfect. So we'll start with just a little bit of background on Peoria Intergovernmental Affairs. So Peoria Intergovernmental Affairs works to advance the city's interests by advocating for policies and initiatives that support Peoria's long-term success and align simultaneously with council priorities. Intergovernmental Affairs works regularly in coordination with our regional partners, including MAG, AMWA, Valley Metro, League of Cities and Towns, and others. And through these efforts, Government Affairs broadly ensures that Peoria has a consistent and effective voice during discussions that impact our city's ability to serve our residents. And I know many of our council members sit on these boards and are regularly active during these meetings, acting as a critical conduit between member agencies and the city. So thank you all for those continued efforts as well. So now we'll jump into a little bit of the purpose and goal of the legislative agenda. So within those routine efforts of government affairs that I mentioned, one gap that has been identified recently is the lack of a strategic policy document that broadly guides and informs specific areas and focuses for future advocacy. And we're here today to discuss and address that topic. So the legislative agenda is intended to act as a broad guiding document that signals to external stakeholders the basic legislative principles and tenets that Peoria generally supports and or opposes. And the goal in presenting is to ensure these efforts are always aligned with council's strategic priorities as well. I think having some of these core principles documented ahead of time allows us to respond to an environment that changes daily as well, sometimes multiple times a day. And it is our intention to lean heavily on this document to work in concert with city management to sign on both in favor and in opposition of bills when necessary. I think importantly to underscore as well, this document is not intended to be an end-all be-all. Many items, when they play out in reality, will still require a great deal of nuance and consideration with many pieces of context that exist outside the vacuum of a singular document. So in total, and we'll run through all 6 of these items during the presentation, there's 6 areas of focus that revolve around local revenue and existing funding, local decision-making, economic development, public safety, water security, and transportation. So the first one we will talk about is support of existing funding sources. And for each topic, you'll see a general policy statement in bold and italics at the top, and then below we'll expand more on what exactly that statement means. So Peoria values fiscal stability and responsible stewardship of taxpayer dollars. Protecting existing revenue streams ensures the city can deliver essential services and maintain a high quality of life for its residents. So what that means, Peoria supports the protection of existing state shared revenues such as income, sales, property, and food taxes, all of which fund critical operations. Peoria supports policies that preserve local tax authority and flexibility in establishing rates and fee structures to address local needs. And I think in summary, the city generally opposes unfunded mandates or cost shifts from the state or federal government that divert resources away from our core municipal services. The next pillar of support we'll look at is local decision-making. Again, the overarching policy statement, so Peoria believes that decisions impacting residents are best made at the local level. Preserving local authority empowers the city to make decisions tailored to specific community needs. Practically, I think this means Peoria supports the ability to govern in a way that reflects and meets the immediate needs of local communities. Peoria opposes preemption efforts, limiting local control over land use, zoning, and development standards. And Peoria encourages collaborative efforts between state and local stakeholders instead of uniform top-down legislation. And here, I do think it's important to plug the city's general plan process, which is regularly discussed in these contexts down at the legislature as well. Just by way of very quick background, right? I mean, in Arizona, large cities are required to review and update their general plan every 10 years. And Peoria voters approved an update to the general plan in 2020. And cities use general plan as a guiding document to achieve a shared community vision for the future. Major tenets and core functions, including land use, are included and outlined in that process. And so I think ultimately quite a bit of community input and feedback go into the general plan process. And cities simply want to maintain an ability to implement what local residents want as it relates to land use and other material actions. Next, we'll discuss this council's support for long-term economic development as well. So Peoria is committed to fostering future job growth and expanding revenues through strategic long-term development. These efforts strengthen the city's ability to provide quality services with the current tax base and cut down on costly commutes. What that means, Peoria supports incentives, policies, and tools that attract quality employers to key employment corridors and support efforts of strategic workforce development. The city supports regional collaboration to drive economic development across the West Valley and broader Maricopa region. And in line with our previous discussion, Peoria encourages smart long-term planning that balances immediate growth with future infrastructure demands. Next, we'll discuss support for investments in public safety. Peoria supports strategic and intentional investments that strengthen local law enforcement, fire, and emergency medical services. What that means, Peoria supports policies that protect first responders and strengthen recruitment and retention efforts. Peoria supports existing funding mechanisms that sustain competitive and prepared police and fire medical departments. And Peoria encourages investments in training and technology that improve the quality of services and the safety of public safety personnel. And I think over the years, that last one in particular, we've seen significant benefits from these one-time investments that have helped fund initiatives like the Aviation Unit and the Real-Time Crime Center. The next pillar outlines the city's support for responsible water stewardship. Peoria is committed to long-term water resource management and practices that protect current and future water needs. And putting that into practical terms, Peoria is supportive of policies that safeguard and expand Arizona's water supply and incentivize conservation. Peoria opposes measures that diminish municipal authority over water allocation, long-term planning, and rate setting. Again, when it comes to long-term planning, Peoria believes it can best meet the needs of its local residents, and we want to ensure we have an ability to do so. Very little can be planned without a basic ability to make decisions on allocation and future rates. And Peoria is ready to engage with AMWA, CAP, and other regional partners to protect both statewide and local water allocations. Obviously, Colorado River uncertainty is going to continue to be a very large topic of conversation heading into 2026, and something that all Arizona water users will continue to have a very vested interest in. And finally, Peoria supports future transportation planning. Peoria recognizes the importance of a comprehensive transportation network that connects local communities to employment, education, and recreation. What that means, Peoria supports investments in regional and local transportation infrastructure. Peoria advocates for flexible funding that enables municipalities to address their specific and local needs. And much of the time, all of these efforts and transportation priorities are achieved by strategically working with our regional partners like MAG, Valley Metro, and others. And finally, I just wanted to briefly touch on some general expectations for the coming months as well. As of yesterday, we've seen just over 430 bills, memorials, and resolutions introduced. I think maybe this evening we were just about at 500. To compare, last year we saw 1,854 in total. So roughly over the next couple of months, we'll likely see an additional 1,400 net new proposals come to light across a variety of subjects. In December, both the House and Senate majority released their majority plans that outline their priorities. I think both plans outline some predictable items, right? An explicit desire to improve housing affordability and expediting development processes and local reviews. Both plans also discuss the uncertainty surrounding the Colorado River negotiations and the importance of all basin states coming to a fair and proportional framework. And just yesterday, during the inaugural State of the State address, Governor Hobbs outlined many of her own priorities, some of which overlap and include issues of affordability and housing, the importance of negotiating equitable deal amongst Colorado River users. She also focused in quite a bit on data centers, and she talked about a proposal in the executive budget to eliminate data center tax exemptions. And then within the context of both data centers and the Colorado River, Governor Hobbs proposed a framework for a new $30 million river protection fund for ongoing investments in water security. And those proposed funds would be raised by charging data center providers an additional fee on their future water usage as well. So I think we're going to certainly see the marriage of a lot of those issues together. And with that, Mayor and Council, I'm happy to take any questions.
Councilor Bullock.
Thank you, Austin. And thank you to Mayor Beck and yourself and Tyler as well. I was able to go down and sit on the Senate floor yesterday as a guest and talk with many of the senators, and went over to the House side and got to meet the governor and watch the speech. And why it was important is it gave me a chance to actually talk with policymakers, the ones who are actually presenting and proposing. And for the first time, I watch it every year, but the first time I see actually a consensus around water, the fear of protecting it, making sure, yes, we have a lot of water now, but for the future, making sure. But I thought one thing that was a little of concern to me was there was very much a lot of emotion and split on housing, affordable and diversity of housing, to the point where the state, and I heard several House members talking about that as they were chit-chatting, of how can we basically pass laws at the state level to compel municipalities to do certain things to provide a diversity of housing or affordable housing, whatever. Yes, we're all for that, but I'm just concerned. I'm going to be really wanting to learn from you during this whole session. How do we make sure that municipalities have autonomy to do what's right for our own community based on resident input and, of course, council and mayor and city staff? But I haven't heard that much of we need to do more at the state level to compel cities to do something in a long time. So hopefully that was just rumbling of the first day.
Yeah, and I think, to your point, I think every year for the past couple of years, and I'm sure this year will be no exception, but the land use preemptive efforts have just continued to grow pretty significantly over the past couple of sessions, and I think really culminated in some pretty significant disagreements last year as well that will continue into this year. So I think that's going to continue to be a very common theme that we'll have to always be on guard against.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? No? All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. So we'll go through a kind of a little formality here. So there being no further business, I hereby declare the study session adjourned. And then we will automatically roll back into the council here. So good evening. Welcome to the Peoria City Council meeting. I hereby call the meeting of January 13th, 2026 to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Beck,
Here.
Vice Mayor Crawford,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Finn,
Here.
Councilmember Edwards. Here. Councilmember Stokes.
Here.
Councilmember Dunn.
Here.
Councilmember Bullock.
Here.
Council Youth Liaison Alicia Holly.
Here.
And Council Youth Liaison Anika Navgari.
Here.
Mayor Beck, you have a quorum.
Thank you. If anyone would like to address the council about a matter at this time, this is the last call to submit speaker request forms, which can be found at the entrance of the room to the clerk at this time. I will now recognize City Manager Mr. Henry Darwin to introduce presentations on Water Conservation Program, Neighborhood Parks Landscape Enhancement, and Sustainability Project.
Thank you, Mayor. Sometimes my notes don't reflect who's actually going to be speaking, but I do know when I see
I would say Chris
Deputy
Hawkins, that's an easy one.
Yeah, when I see Deputy City Manager Burke with a bow tie on, I know that he's speaking that day. So I know my notes. I knew my notes were correct for today, at least on that front. So of course, Deputy City Manager Burke is going to be here, and I'll let him introduce the others, his staff that are at the table there. They're going to review activities and results from the neighborhood parks and turf reduction irrigation upgrade and beautification efforts associated with the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority grant that we received. I'm sure they'll tell us when we received it, but it was a few years ago. Take
Very
it away,
good.
Kevin.
Thank you, Manager Darwin, Mayor Council. Thanks for having us before you tonight. This is a very exciting topic. It's actually been quite a few years in the making to get here. Chris Calcaterra, our Parks and Rec Director, will walk through some of that history, as well as I have Dan Bachman, who is our Parks and Facilities Manager at the table, and we'll get into some of that history. But just want to start that water conservation has always been a practice with the city of Peoria. This is not some new fad. We've been doing this for quite some time. We've, over the time, dedicated people, we've dedicated resources, we've created programs that have been geared towards homeowners, towards HOAs, and towards commercial uses. But our biggest water user has always been Parks and Recreation. And so it only makes sense to look inward when we're trying to set the example for water conservation. And that's exactly what we've done. There was a few years ago when we were doing the drought management plan, the city came up with a logo which was Peoria has enough water to use, but never enough to waste. And that's exactly what this kind of project entails. And so I won't steal Chris's thunder, but I'll go ahead and turn it over to him to walk through this project.
Thank you, Kevin. I also want to thank Austin. I think he did a nice job setting up the water security conversation that's happening tonight too, so very nice job. Mayor, Council, thank you very much for the opportunity to share tonight. Some amazing work our team has done. And when I say our team, it's not just the Parks and Rec Department, it's the Water Department, it's all involved, the Kevin's Sustainability Department. So this is an Inform and Educate campaign that started several years ago. But that is really the culmination of the project. So Peoria conservation of water has always been a core focus, and namely so in our strategic rock in the water security. So I just want to thank you first and foremost as Mayor and Council for the unwavering support, because I mean that not necessarily water security and water conservation are subjects that are very definable but hard to understand at some point in time. But this is a very visible project in our community, and it's a long-term strategic approach in being in the forefront of water conservation and stewardship of our resources. The Parks and Rec Department started on this adventure, by nature, as Kevin mentioned, we are a heavy user and a very large collaborator with the Water Department. And in 2017, we participated in the Drought Management Plan, which was created to support our Inform and Educate for our residents, and not only ourselves as well. In 2018, we recognized as a Parks and Rec Department that we needed to be ahead of the bell curve and initiate the first park field studies of our 18 parks, of a selection of 18 parks, and their irrigation systems and turf areas. These systems were 20 to 40 years old. And what did the study cover? It covered things like our current irrigation equipment, what was the life cycle of it, our current water pressures. As the development of the city around the park was being developed, water pressures changed. It also talked about our irrigation coverage, how much of our irrigation was actually from technology advancements, how much was old versus new. And finally, and most importantly, really our programmable versus non-programmable turf areas. In 2022, we completed the remaining 16 parks on the irrigation and non-programmable spaces study. What we learned and what we strategized from these two studies helped us as a department approach the water efficiency discussion differently with the existing systems and began to plan program improvements for advancing the way we operated, designed, and renovated park spaces. In 2022, the department presented those findings and long-term strategies to the city's Parks and Recreation Board during its December 22 board meeting. And as Henry mentioned, we came forward in 2023. We created our own in-house Stage 1 drought contingency plan. This took care of some of the Tier 1 implementation strategies and also helped us in the allocation and tracking and reporting methods of our irrigation use. This also really stimulated our department to start looking for grants. And in 2023, the department applied and was awarded the grant, and council approved the program and grant match on September 19th of 2023, and we are off on our adventure. Before you, it takes a village, as you know, and these are the team members from the Park and Rec Department that were rock stars getting not only this project off the ground, but also fully completed. I'm gonna have to share an anecdotal story as well. You're familiar with Kate Powers. Kate called me as a collaborator in the city and said, I have some good news and I have some bad news, Chris. And now CAPE, as you know, a work relationship, but when you get a call from the water guy and a frequent user, you have to be on guard. But his comments were great. He said, great news, Cal. We have, with a Water Infrastructure Finance Authority grant, opened a new set of appropriations to help the state water drought situation. And your area would fit nicely into it. He was aware of some of our previous studies as they had helped us. The bad news was it was due in 2.5 weeks. So the top 5 individuals on this slide got together, made a phone call that afternoon to CAPE, and we delivered that grant in 2.5 weeks, and we're successful. Very proud of that accomplishment. As mentioned, the WIFA Infrastructure Grant was an appropriation from the state, and it also took hold in grant hearings where we presented and were competitive against other grant asks. And we were provided, because we had a shovel-ready project, because we had those studies already in hand and we were ready to make action on it, we were able to be awarded that grant. Most of the other folks and other individuals in those rooms were water departments and operations related, not park and recreation departments. So very, very forward thinking on not only the city, but also the team putting everything together. In general, this is the grant overline. We had about $2.5 million received. We had a city match of $630,000. At the same time as the correlation of the WIFA grant was happening, we were able to apply for a USDA tree grant. There was no match on this grant, and we knew that we were going to be installing trees, and Dan will talk about that here in the future. But we were able to also receive this grant, so our total program amount was $3.3 million. Now that I've shared a little of the water history and grant process, I'd like to turn it over to Dan Bachman, our Parks and Facilities Manager, to talk about the product and its results.
Yeah, let me make just one quick comment. If I could just make one quick comment, one of the other things that this grant provided the opportunity was really an opportunity to beautify and kind of clean up the parks. Not that they were in some sort of disrepair, but as Chris noted, I mean, a lot of these parks hadn't been touched since their original construction in terms of irrigation, layout, things of that nature. So this also provided a great opportunity for some beautification while we were at it. So I just wanted to keep that in mind as we went through. Sorry, Dan.
Okay. The funding from this project allowed us to accelerate department water conservation strategies. We were able to be intentional with our irrigation redesign as compared to kind of, adding a Band-Aid to things or trying to work and make shift as we go. So we got to be very intentional with our implementation. And it complemented the existing water conservation CIP program very well as allowing us to improve the existing programmable turf areas. I think one thing that gets lost for some with this project is there was remediation of turf, but we were also trying to improve the turf that remained at the park after we did that remediation. As we evaluated turf, we focused on non-programmable turf areas, as well as areas where grass traditionally just does not grow very easily. So slopes, heavily shaded areas, oddly shaped areas in the parks, around courts, ramadas, things of that nature. We also wanted to focus on park improvements. So we looked at, one of the biggest things we did was strategic shade placement, so trees. So we put a bunch of trees into the park. It's not just a matter of putting a tree in the park, it's a matter of where you're putting it strategically. So you're gonna offer shade to a path that someone walks past or an area where people might have a picnic underneath or things of that nature. So we really tried to dial in the strategy on that. We also looked at walking paths. So where could we add DG, so decomposed granite, stabilized paths that could go through the park and kind of add a new experience for park users. And then we looked at landscape rock color. So we wanted to make sure that we were keeping the rock color so that it blended into the rock colors that were already in the park, or they created an accent. So it kind of matched with what was already there. And then from an irrigation upgrade standpoint, again, it was very important to us that as we worked this strategy, that we made sure that we were upgrading the irrigation system that was remaining in place so that, again, the grass that stayed there was healthier than it was in the past. It was all about making sure that we were giving that experience to the park user who to use the grass that remained. And then one thing with these trees, you can see on this picture in front of you, there's a tree, again, kind of right along the path. So right now that tree just got planted, its canopy is a few feet wide. When it gets full maturity, that tree is going to be somewhere with a canopy of 20 to 40 feet. wide. So these trees that we're sprinkling in throughout the park system really are going to make a huge impact once they reach that full maturity. And then as a standard, we attempted to keep a 28 trees per acre kind of standard, and that's basically what it is through the neighborhood park system, so we tried to keep that consistent as we went. So the project included 19 parks, with parks coming from each council district, and a focus on parks in which we could see the biggest return on our grant and match investment. So these parks are listed in front of you. As we started the process, so these are Aqua Engineering was the third-party company that did the studies that Chris mentioned earlier. So they come out, they went through each park in the system. It was a very valuable resource as we went through and evaluated the parks to have this homework done for us kind of initially. So we were able to do that, and it gave us a huge head start as we moved into the design phase. So this next slide, as you can see, the picture to your right is kind of a blow up of the top picture on the left. So this is Roundtree Ranch Park. So what we did after we had the Aqua Engineering study done and we had everything finalized is we did an internal irrigation mapping process. So this is where we were essentially trying to make sure that we were utilizing the irrigation system to the best of our ability as it currently was in the ground. If you start getting into the ground and start moving heads all over the place, it drastically increases the price. You start getting into logistics that make the project significantly more difficult. So we really wanted to make sure that we utilized the irrigation system, again, as best as we could as it laid out. So if you look at this picture, you're going to see yellow dots that kind of go around an area in the middle there. So those yellow dots are the reestablished turf line. So that is the turf line that we created. And as you look at it, you'll see that there's kind of colorful dots in there inside of it. Those are the irrigation heads that we rezoned. So we basically took irrigation heads that were on one zone and we created new zones to irrigate the turf that remained. But we kept it right along the perimeter of those irrigation heads so as to not have to redesign the entire space from an irrigation standpoint. And it really allowed us to make sure that we could be very efficient with the irrigation system that remained in place. We went through this. It was a weekly process as we went through park to park, as we went through and designed this with our vendors and our design team as we all kind of aligned thoughts to make sure that we were doing this in the most efficient way possible. And then each park received a final design. So again, this is Roundtree Ranch Park. So as you can see, these designs included all the information that you would need to basically build or reconstruct, do a park. So you have the irrigation, the new irrigation layout that reaches not only the trees, the grass, the existing trees, the mature trees, so that it gets stripped of those trees. So we created that's included in this design. We also have the tree layout for the trees themselves. We have the path that cuts through the bottom section of this park. All of that was included in these designs. And these designs truly act as the instructions for our construction team and allows us to hold those construction teams accountable for what we have essentially asked them to do. This picture shows a couple angles of the path at Roundtree Ranch Park. So this was the bottom section of the picture we were just on. And as you can see on this, it's a stabilized DG path that's kind of an accent color to the rocks, landscape rocks. And then you also see, again, what I was talking about before, where you have trees that are kind of offset on either side of the path. Again, keep in mind, as these trees get to full maturity, they'll have a 20 to 40 foot canopy, and it'll look really nice and provide shade to either side of these, a path like this. A huge part of this project was communication, so we had to make sure that we were communicating with the community. If you look on the right side of this slide, you will see an example of the mailers that were sent to the neighbors who are directly adjacent to the parks. Picture in the middle of this slide shows an example of a social media post that was posted on Facebook. And then we also utilized the city's website to be able to post which parks were part of the project. It also included maps that showed parts of the turf that would be remediated versus parts of the turf that were going to stay. So there was information that was on the website for that. Each park had a physical sign that was put at the park that had a map of what the park would look like, when it was done, as far as, again, which areas would be remediated and which would stay, as well as information for the contact for the next section here, which is the project hotline. So our project hotline allowed citizens to make phone calls or send emails in if they had questions about the process and just needed any additional information. They could reach out to that. It was a third-party company called Your Project Marketing Outreach that fielded those phone calls and emails, and then they funneled the questions to the appropriate staff member from the city of Peoria who could then assist with answering those questions. We did get some resident feedback. We think we kind of went through it, and majority of it kind of boiled it down into these 4 kind of sections of questions here. The majority of citizens that we spoke to just really, wanted to get a little bit more information about what was going on, get a better understanding of what it meant. There were some, some complexities to what was going on to some degree. So I think they're just looking for a little bit additional info. And the vast majority of citizens that I spoke to and that the team spoke to, once they felt that their answers were their questions were answered, really felt like it was addressed and it was a positive outcome to the call. So, for example, we got the question, why are you taking the grass in the park? I think considering we live in Arizona, a lot of people understand that we are, there's a drought going on, that it's hot. Everyone hears about, are we going to have enough water for the next 100 years, yada, yada, yada. It really was a simple conversation to have that with most people that, hey, this is a water conservation project. We are doing it it's one of the rocks, it's one of the pillars for the city that, this was a council-driven process that we went through. So I think that most people understood that. Once they heard that, they were just wanting to know exactly why are we doing this? The next one we got a lot was, are you removing all the grass in the park? And the answer was no. So none of our 19 parks had all of the grass removed. That was not even something that was ever going to be on the table. What we really looked to do again is we targeted areas where it was non-programmable turf, and we targeted areas that the grass just was struggling to grow already. So again, those slopes and those shady areas and areas where it was just already difficult to get the grass going. So again, you explain that. So many of the people that I spoke to said, oh, you're just going to take that part? And then, they really, you could just see the look on their face go, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. So that was a huge, I enjoyed every time the calls kind of ended in that way. And then, are you improving the park? So that was another thing that we really wanted to focus on, was improving the park. So again, we really made sure that we were looking at how do we improve the irrigation systems within the park, because that is what people are going to see. You're going to see a nice big field of green grass instead of a field of grass that, there's some spotty areas where there's water pressure issues or things of that nature that may have been in the past because of an older irrigation system. So that was something that we really focused on, was making sure that happened. And then the biggest thing, and I mean, every single person I talked to, I would say at this 100% of the people I talked to, were just so excited about the amount of trees that were going back in. These are people who looked at it and said, oh, you know what, okay, I get it. And even if it wasn't something that they were excited about when it comes to the grass, they said, but you know what, it's awesome that these trees are coming in. And once they saw the number of trees that are coming in, and we had people that were stopping park staff in the park to let them know, like, hey, this turned out kind of different than I thought it was going to when I originally heard about it. And then the last one is this happening throughout the entire park system? And again, we made sure people understood that there's 19 parks that were part of this project, and that all 6 council districts had parks that were involved in the project.
I just want to interrupt. Yeah, just want to interrupt too. Sorry, Dan.
Yep.
This was really an area where our Parks and Rec board were champions for us, because they are representatives of the public. So we walked through every stage of this project with them, and actually brought back some of the resident feedback to our Park and Rec board meetings. And that's the part of the Inform and Educate campaign that was really the champions of the community were in support, and really helpful for us to make this project what it is today.
All right, and then so construction timeline, we started, or I should say turf remediation was completed at all 19 parks as of October of 2024. The next step to that was January 2025 when we got all 4 of our construction vendors together to do a kickoff. It was really important that we got the construction group together. Again, you have people who are going to be working around each other in the parks at the same time, deliveries coming through. So it was very important that not only did we do that initial meeting, but we actually moved forward with weekly meetings with that group as well to, again, ensure that everybody was on the same page about when was happening or what was happening and when. Construction began in February. Oh, sorry. Did I? Oh, I'm still here, right?
You're good. Just speak up.
Oh, sorry. Construction began in February of 2025, and the project completed in October of 2025. And all in, we exceeded our initial goal of converting 25 acres at 12 parks by December of 2026 by instead converting 45 acres of turf at 19 parks by October of 2025. We have some before and afters. So this initial one is of Westland Park. Here you can kind of see the new turf line that we added in, as well as the trees that we put in to offset the mature trees. This next slide is Sunny Slope Park. This is a really good example showing the difference between programmable and non-programmable turf. As you can see, we have the slopes, which are kind of a non-programmable area. We took the grass out, removed all the way down to the basin level. And fun fact about this park, this is a flood irrigation park. So once the sloped areas came out, essentially every single irrigation head in this entire park was gone because all the water that comes in this park is flood irrigation. So this shows an example of when I was talking about odd shapes around courts. So this gives you an idea of what that looks like. So by removing the turf in this area, we took out the concern of having overspray or water or irrigation that's seeping into the court area and disrupting the concrete for the court. This is Hayes Park. Hayes Park, we were able to kind of combine the WIFA project with a baseball field project that was already something we were discussing. So by the time we were done with this project, we were able to get an outfield fence around those baseball fields. So it's not just the 2 you see in this picture, but there's also 2 to the south. Or to the side here. And then also we had a warning track and a path that comes around the backside of the fence. And as you can see, there are a ton of trees that got added into the area outside of the fence. And again, if you can imagine what those trees are going to look like when they get to full maturity. This is Alta Vista Park. So in this slide, you can see another example of the grass butting up against the basketball courts. And then in this slide, you'll see Basin 20. So this is a really good example of where we took an area where the turf was being remediated, and then we made sure to add a path that goes around the outside so people can still use it for exercise, walking their dogs. And then this is Basin 22, and then Basin 22 is still in progress, but as you can see from this picture on the right, there's a ton of trees that are being added out into that basin area, and there will be a path that is constructed on that basin as well. All in all, we planted 815 trees through this project, and we installed 18,570 tons of rock, landscape rock. So some irrigation numbers. So before this project, at the 19 parks, we had 6,451 irrigation heads. By the time the project was over, we had 4,044 irrigation heads, so that is a reduction of 2,407, which is the equivalent of 37% of the irrigation heads at these affected parks. In addition to replacing or removing heads, we also replaced heads. Again, we talked before about trying to upgrade the system. So at our WIFA parks, the WIFA grant parks, we replaced 1,073 heads. And then at our non-WIFA parks, we also replaced 1,232 heads. Some additional water conservation efforts that have happened recently. So with 2.7 acres of turf was removed as part of the Alta Vista turf removal project, as well as the Basin turf removal project, which were outside of the WIFA grant. And then over the summer of 2025, the neighborhood parks team has made a concentrated effort to reduce the water being consumed during the flood irrigation, and we've actually reduced it by 20 to 25%. To give you an idea what that means, that's 1.5 million gallons per distribution, and we do a distribution about one time a month, depending on the temperatures. It can be anywhere from the end of March to the beginning of November.
A lot of good information, and we've been excited to share this with you, and the visuals from the actual project and its significant impact on the parks. But we're also very excited to share with you some of the water consumption metrics directly related to the 19 WIFA parks. And these are the actual results to date. This graph shows by calendar year, 23 in blue, 24 in orange, and 2025 in green. If you recall, and denoted here by a red highlighted box, we began the project in October 2024 and completed a project in October 2025. Our grant actually allowed us to go to December 2026. So WIFA is actually excited the fact that we are kind of a pilot for them to show what positive grant funds can do when you're prepared to use them. For the months of January on this graph through April, you'll see a spike in the 2025 from the green color graph. This anomaly is actually related and focused on the project beginning to take place, where we actually, our water increased to take care of the construction startup and needs of the park construction being in full swing. So what does that mean? As you can see from the calendar numbers, the 19 parks absolutely are trending and delivering water savings, consumption savings, even while the project was in progress. From calendar year 2023, we saw 120 million gallon used for these 19 parks. In 24, we saw 105 million gallons of water consumption. And in 2025, we have just finished the year out, and we are at 66 million gallons. Gallons.
As opposed to the acre feet.
Yes, yes. Yes, we can convert. A total savings of 46.5 million gallons from the average of 23 and 24, and a 39 million gallon savings from year over year. So we are projecting, as denoted here, the water savings to provide an ongoing $120,000 in the water and $30,000 in the mowing contract per year. What are our next steps? We recognize that being shovel-ready for any grant opportunity is a huge plus, so we're engaging in designing of the remaining park inventory, 16 parks, utilizing the same methods Dan expressed. We also know that consistently monitoring the irrigation system over a long period of time provides savings and opportunities. So installing flow sensors and master valves that will auto-detect larger flows and automatically shut down the system during mainline pipe breaks, irrigation head failures, and vandalism to valves. The refinement of irrigation software has come a long way with the AI technologies. We're utilizing daily information, real time, for evapotranspiration data. And for all those water people out there, evapotranspiration is the amount of soil moisture leaving and the amount of plant tissue water leaving combined into an equation that by region you can plug into your software system, and you actually pick up a significant amount of savings instead of just pushing your button at the irrigation clock. So we are refining these and using AI to help support this. But all that to say, we can continue to fine tune and program the landscape water delivery to try and find the balance of water efficiencies when and where possible. And with that, we'd like to hear from the council if the park's water conservation plan is on the right track.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. I'll now recognize City Manager Mr. Andrew Darwin to introduce presentation on the Business Facilities 2025 Deal of the Year Award.
Well, I don't want to steal any of Maria's thunder, so I won't say any more about the award. But Maria Loeffner, our Economic Development Services Director, is here to give us a little more detail about a recent award that we received for the Amcor project. Maria.
Thank you so much, Manager Darwin, and good evening, Mayor Beck and City Council members. I'm very excited to be here today to announce this good news to you, that we have been awarded the Gold Deal of the Year Award from Business Facilities Magazine for our Amcor project. And thank you very much, Austin, again, for teeing this up for me right away, this Council Priority of Economic Development. You know, this award that we just won is exactly what we're looking for in the city's vision for economic development. And our primary goal in economic development is to create more jobs. So the award is given by Business Facilities, which is a national publication. They've been around for over 50 years. And they are the leading location source for corporate site selectors and for economic developers. For more than 30 years, they have bestowed a Deal of the Year award upon economic development organizations that submit projects that have a significant impact on their community. So this year, we submitted the Ampor project because we thought it met the guidelines and the criteria, which are factors that include capital investment, job creation, innovation of the project, and then impact on the community. And then just before the holidays, we received the call saying that, yes, we had been awarded the Gold Deal of the Year award due to the tremendous impact that this project is having on our city. So again, just so everyone remembers how great this project is, the proposed job creation is 3,000 new jobs, estimated capital investment of $7 billion. Very innovative project with the city won state land auction, the land swap, the creation of the Peoria Innovation Corps, and just the overall economic impact on the community, bringing more local employment opportunities to build a strong local economy. And I want to stop here for a second and note something else that happened last week that I think is directly related to projects such as these and awards such as these. Wallet Hub announced last week that for the first time ever in Peoria's history, we are on the list of best U.S. cities for a job. And not only are we on the list, we came in at number 33 out of 180. So that is significant. And they look at things such as how many applicants are there per opening? What is the local growth of the economy? What's the starting wage of the jobs that are offered here? So that was a really great thing for us to see, and it just tells us that the work that we're doing in economic development is leading towards the outcomes that the City Council has envisioned through this priority. And that is it. We're very excited about this award. The city will be featured in the next issue of Business Facilities. And again, it is Peoria's first national recognition in economic development, and we hope it's first of many. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you. Well,
Yep,
thank you to you.
Thank you.
You're
Yep,
welcome.
yep. We'll now move on to regular consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion unless a request for removal prior. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please vote. Councilmember Crawford?
I vote yes.
And it passes 7-0. Thank you. We will now move on to the regular agenda and to introduce new business. Actually, first will be considered a new consideration for vice mayor. Do I have council? Do I have a motion to nominate a member for vice mayor, holding the vice mayor position?
Mayor, I would like to nominate Mayor Pro Tem Mike Finn for the position of vice mayor for the next year.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Council, please vote on the motion.
Vice Mayor Crawford, how do you vote?
She's the
I
nominee.
vote yes.
And it passes. That would be pretty crazy. And it passes 7-0. Next would be the motion to elect the mayor pro tem. Do I have a motion for mayor pro tem?
I'd like a motion to nominate Councilman Matt Bullock as mayor pro tem.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Council, please vote. Councilor Crawford?
I vote yes.
And that passes 7-0. Thank you very much. I now recognize City Manager Mr. Henry Darwin to introduce 14R.
Thank you, Mayor. So continuing on with our parks theme for the evening, we have our Parks and Recreation Director, Chris Calcaterra. He was going to seek your approval to adopt the recommended name of Mystic Park for the neighborhood park at Lake Pleasant Heights located at El Mirage and Westland Road. Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Darwin. Tonight, Mayor and Councilors, thank you very much. And tonight, we have the opportunity in front of you for 2 agenda items. So I'm going to really high level give some context for 14R and 15R, but specifically for selecting the name of upcoming new park assets. The City Council, naming parks and recreation facilities is part of your City Council policy, CP3-4. This council policy provides for the procedure and criteria for, in tonight's case, a neighborhood park and special use park naming. Criteria for naming parks includes geographical relevance, regional uniqueness, and donation-based. A very important highlight for both agendas tonight is that these 2 parks are being built and dedicated to the city by the developer. We'll touch a bit on that later. The review and recommendation of park naming begins with the Parks and Recreation Board. The board is a 7-member public advisory board that, among other parks and recreation items, also reviews and recommends to the City Council for approval of park names. Mayor and council members, tonight you are the final approval process as we come before you with items 14 and 15R. This map is for just a general area context on where these 2 new park assets are located within the Mesquite District. Lake Pleasant Heights community is circled area to the north on this map, and Vistancia is the circled location in the middle of this map. Now we'll move into item 14R, the neighborhood park naming for Lake Pleasant Heights development and the Mystic community within it. This star indicates where the neighborhood park location is currently located within the development. The 10.7 acre park site is located in a unique topographical area with 2 large washes surrounding the west and east boundaries. At build out, the park will have approximately 5.5 acres of usable area. And again, I want to stress, this park is an example of an additional neighborhood park asset constructed without additional general fund or any bond financing commitments. This is a new approach, and the developer built projects for building park assets. These are the first 2 that will come before you. This neighborhood park site is intended to serve residents of the Mystic neighborhood and surrounding communities. This is a zoomed aerial of the park site, which sits nestled between those 2 major washes and adjacent to the HOA clubhouse facility to the upper left of the picture of the facility at the Mystic Community South and Westland Road to the north of the park site. Here you can see an overview of the neighborhood parks plan. This park will offer amenities consistent with other Peoria neighborhood parks, including a lighted multi-purpose sports field, shaded inclusive playgrounds, shaded picnic ramadas, lighted sports courts, restrooms, parking facilities, and lighted walkway paths. This park is currently under construction and is anticipated to be added to the city's neighborhood park inventory in mid to late summer of 2026. The city collaborated with the developer on the park naming options and brought forward to the Parks Recreation Board the naming recommendation of Mystic Park. The name was unanimously approved by the Parks and Rec Board and recommended to bring forward to City Council tonight for approval. Wanted to share a quick visual of the neighborhood park entry signage that you're familiar with at the current neighborhood park sites, and approved tonight would mirror our current neighborhood park package. And with that, the recommendation from the Parks and Recreation Board is that council approve the name Mystic Park for the new neighborhood park. And we'll take any questions from mayor and council.
Council, do I have a motion to approve the Mystic Park name in the Mystic area of the city?
Mayor.
Also known as 14R.
Right.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept after long deliberation on an appropriate name, although the developer put in 7 million, so we're going with what he likes. We'll go with 14R as approved, sir.
Do I have a second? I'll second. Please vote. Councilmember Crawford?
I vote yes.
I'm sure.
And it passes unanimously 7-0. Thank you.
All right, we're moving on to 15R. Select a name for a special use park at Vistancia. You may ask yourself, what is a special use park? It is designed to be broadly focused on a historic, cultural, social sites, or alternatively, a specific function or asset that meets a community or regional need and enjoyment. They may be located adjacent to another type of civic or institutional related facility. In this particular case at Vistancia, the park location is adjacent to an institutional related facility. This star in the lower left of the map indicates where the special use park at Vistancia is located within the Vistancia development. The 13.7 acre park is located adjacent to the recently constructed American Leadership Academy K through 12 school. At build out, this park will be approximately 12 acres of usable park space. And this park is also an example of an additional park asset, as we mentioned earlier, constructed by a developer. Here you can see an overview of the special use park plans and its amenities, which include a baseball and softball field, lighted multi-purpose sports fields, shaded inclusive playgrounds, shaded picnic ramadas, lighted basketball courts, restrooms, parking facilities, and future amenities include a lighted pickleball court and a light feature for the baseball and softball fields. This image shows the park and its adjacency to the American Leadership Academy campus, and also is currently under construction and is expected to be added to the city park inventory in FY27. The city also collaborated with this developer on the special use park naming options. The Parks and Recreation Board is bringing forward the park naming recommendation of Discovery Park. Discovery Park name was unanimously approved by the Parks and Rec Board and was recommended to bring forward to the council for approval tonight. And with that, the recommendation of the Parks and Rec Board is that council approve the name Discovery Park for the new special use park in Vistancia.
The item 15R with the naming of Discovery Park.
Motion to approve as recommended.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please vote. Councilmember Crawford,
I vote yes.
and it passes 7-0. Thank you. Thank you, Bree. I now recognize City Manager Henry Darwin to give his report.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry I didn't say something earlier. I don't have anything to report this evening.
Okay, how about that? Council Youth Liaisons, Miss Felicia Holly.
So I know I've talked a lot about Youth Government Day, so I thought I'd talk about something else. We've recently been working on our teen debate night, and I believe it should be happening next month. And I'm very excited to see that pull through. Recently, as the years we've been doing it, that I've seen, we've been increasing our numbers, almost doubling them each year. So that's what I hope to see happen this year.
That's awesome. And Annika?
Another one of our upcoming volunteer opportunities is a partnership with Habitat for Humanity, where we're going to be working on construction of houses in Peoria. And I think this will be really helpful for a civic sense because it'll help us engage more with local communities.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And Mayor's report. So it's a little bit of sad news. If you haven't seen this, unfortunately, we lost former Attorney General Mark Brnovich this morning to what sounds like a massive heart attack, unfortunately, at age 59. He leaves behind his wife, Suzanne, who is also a judge here in the state, but also their two daughters. You know, I've had lots of interactions with former AG. He tried to show me his nunchuck moves back in the day. If anybody's seen those videos, he was quite a character and quite a personality. It's very sad to see somebody that served the state as long as he did and served his community as long as he did and just had a lot of energy and life to be gone this early. So just makes us remind us all that we only have so many breaths on this earth, and to you know, look out for our own health and look out for our family members. But very sad day for his family. So and the state of Arizona. With that, we will. We've got
Mayor.
Please.
Would you mind?
Yeah, please.
So I appreciate that. I just wanted to wish my fellow council member Rick Stokes a happy 1-year anniversary Tonight is the one-year anniversary of myself and Rick Stokes joining the council. For those of you who thought it was long and arduous this past year, having Rick and I on the council, I would disagree. It's been quite possibly the happiest year of our lives, and we appreciate the involvement of everyone. And I just want to say happy anniversary, Rick.
Thank you, Matt.
We forgot to bring cake for them, and they're not going to let us live this down. So yeah, we did bring them Cheetos for their gift. Next on the agenda is call to the public. As a reminder, each speaker shall refrain for personal attacks, foul, abusive language, and will maintain a civil and courteous manner and tone. Members of the audience shall respect the rights of others and will not create noise or other disturbances and disrupt the meeting. We have one speaker request, Ms. Shannon Semo, tonight.
Hello. I wanted to start with the last meeting and comments that were made that if they were going to vote yes, they would have, but because of the way the people were acting, they chose not to vote that way. And I know I'm not supposed to call out people, so I'm not going to, but they know who they are. It makes it hard to want to be honest with you guys or speak honestly, because if it means that we're going to be punished for opinions that maybe you're not necessarily in favor of, it's not very fair to the rest of us. I thought it was really unprofessional and quite rude to say, well, if I was going to vote that way, I'm not going to now because you all are acting like that. And it's unfortunate, and it makes a lot of us feel uncomfortable to speak, because we don't know if, because we're being honest, if we're going to be punished or you're going to vote a certain way because you didn't like what certain people said. The other thing I wanted to bring up, I appreciate all the things that Parks and Rec have done, and I understand that they needed to get rid of the grass, but if you put trees and gravel, there's nowhere to sit when it's hot unless you're planning on camping out on the gravel. And the trees are still, the trees aren't big enough yet, so there's not enough shade yet, but that will come with time, but I'm not sure of the placement on the gravel. The other issue that I have is I was reading through the real-time crime center information, and that all of that money and a lot of the money that we get for a lot of the programs that we have, it all comes from government money, from the federal government. So I am wondering when I will be, or what happens after that federal money runs out. Where does it go in the budget and whatnot? Because a lot of the new toys and new things that we have received this last year, a lot of it was federal grant money. And I know when I used to work for the state of Arizona, once the grant money's gone, you got to figure out a way to get that grant money still coming in. So yeah, so I don't know how you guys are going to pay for that.
Can I ask what pay for? I missed
Just the real-time crime center, because I know that was funding, and then the helicopter, I believe, was also a state grant, maybe?
Both of them were state.
Both were state. Okay, so via state grants, when that money runs out, I don't know how we're going to pay for it. And then lastly, I want to say this for the people in my area because we've all been screaming it. The state has been California'd, and it's a shame. And it's very frustrating for people that live here and who have lived here to see it become California light with all the debt. And you guys can smile and look at your phone and do whatever you need to do, I understand. But for the rest of us, if you have a second home somewhere, which I know a lot of you do, if you had a chip manufacturing plant coming to where you guys lived, you wouldn't like it either. And so punishing us because we have a different opinion, or saying you're not going to vote a certain way, or somebody voted no and then we found out later it was just to punish the rest of us and they were hoping for a forced story, I'm still willing to meet with you. So I'd like for you to contact me because I've been waiting and Austin hasn't gotten back to me, and I don't want to meet with you at TIER. I'd like to meet with you at council or at City Hall, but I would like to meet with you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. There being no further business, I hereby declare the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.